Well, good morning. We're going to go ahead and call the August the 22nd regular session school board meeting to order. Yesterday was a great day. Thank you, Mr. Superintendent, and your staff and schools for working around the eclipse. And I've heard from all throughout the county everything went well, and appreciate your efforts there. This time we're going to go ahead and turn our meeting over to the superintendent to discuss our agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have a couple things today. First, on the agenda, well, before I introduce what we're going to do, we had an award. One of our employees, Rafael Sanchez, Dr. Sanchez. I saw him walk in here. Where are you at? Is he here?
Yes, he is.
Okay, so this is pretty cool. The Capella University, he received the Capella Business Leader Award, and he's going to be going up to New York, and he's going to be ringing the bell at the stock exchange, right?
All right. Yeah, we need a speech. Get over here and tell. We need our online viewers to hear a little bit about this, Dr. Sanchez. And your staff's here, so it's awesome.
Wherever you want. Wherever you want.
Yep.
Well, I wasn't expecting that, but so it's an award for academic excellence and business environment awareness, and essentially what I did was I did 2 essays, two letters of recommendation, 2-minute video on how the university I attended helped me achieve the business goals that I was looking for, and then tied that into what we've achieved here at St. Lucie. So there will be there's two other award winners, and one's for a bachelor's and one's for a master's, and of course mine is for the doctorate in human resources. So super cool. My family's very excited, and it's one of those once in a lifetime opportunities. So I'll be looking forward to ringing that bell. Yeah.
Cool. Congratulations. Thank you for representing St. Lucie County.
I hope it's a good market day.
I was going to say, I hope it's good that day. Starts downward trend.
Yeah. Okay, so today's agenda, we're going to hear from the Economic Development Council, and then from Mr. Tesh, and I'll bring him up in just a second. Then Dr. Prince is going to present. We're going to give you some real, the latest, greatest that we have on our academic dashboard and how we can monitor things just like this, and it's going to be very unique to our school district. Jonathan Ferguson will give us an update at the end regarding our potential lawsuit with the Department of Education, and then we'll go to a closed-door session very, very briefly to give you an update on some issues. Okay? So I'd like to introduce and bring up Pete Tesh, the head of the Economic Development Council, and Pete will introduce all of our guests, and I'm going to slide over so my back's not to him.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the school board and Superintendent Jen. Absolutely delighted to be here. We're very excited about our partnership and look forward to our informal discussion on workforce readiness. With me today to make a joint presentation is Brian Bauer, the CEO of Career Source Research Coast, and also Rich Kalita with Spherion, who is with the EDC's Workforce Readiness Task Force, and he chairs that very important body. So first of all, let me personally offer my congratulations on the significant improvements that the school board has made in our school system. As you know, economic development and education are fundamentally linked. Economic development now in terms of job creation and capital investment and all the good things that improve our economy. The currency of economic development is education and workforce readiness. So in the 21st century, as we improve the economy and the businesses that are here and our family and residents, we have a strong partnership here with our school board, and it's so important that we continue this great work. So thank you for your investment and involvement in the EDC in this important endeavor, and we hope that we're going to be in these type of meetings a lot more. I see that I have a device here that may help me propel the PowerPoint presentation. It works. As I mentioned, the EDC, through its strategic plan, has specific goals. And one of them, as we just discussed, is workforce readiness, technical training, and helping our existing businesses. So back in 2015, we formed Economic Development Workforce Readiness Task Force. Again, this is chaired by Rich, and we have several public, private, and associations that are part of this workforce readiness, studying the Skills Gap Initiative. Part of that, regarding the skills gap, we noticed about a year, 2 years ago, anecdotally, that we were getting a lot of information from local employers that they could not find workers, whether professional, skilled, semi-skilled, or unskilled, that would meet the needs of the workforce. So we engaged the actual skills gap study. We hired a very professional, prominent consultant, Jahanton Associates, to do a regional skills gap study. So it included not only St. Lucie County, but the 3 surrounding counties as well. We focused on growth industries that provide lots of jobs and also great opportunities from a career perspective, and most important, wages, and that's manufacturing, healthcare, and the skilled trades. So again, as I mentioned, this is part of our strategic plan. The report was done. We had 110 surveys completed throughout the region that specified certain conditions and areas for improvement. We did send to you an executive summary of the report for those of you that have inconsistent sleep patterns like myself. There's a 100-page report for you to take a look at. It might help you sleep. But it's very, very comprehensive and provides a lot of great information and insight to our local employers. So part of this is that we did the skills gap study. We have the recommendations. It's built into our plan. Now is what do we do? Talking into action. So at this time, I'd like Rich Kalita to come up and talk a little bit about some of the recommendations that we are employing, and specifically to talk about what we just launched last Wednesday about our scholarship partnership. This is very exciting in terms of raising private sector monies with our companies, with our organizations, and with the St. Lucie Education Foundation to provide scholarships. So Rich, if you would be so kind to come on up.
Thank you, Pete. Good morning, everyone. Put my glasses on. You know, one of the things that, you know, we talk about is the skills gap, and it's not unique to our area. Basically, we're finding this across the country. And we really realized a couple of years ago we needed to start putting steps in place to make a gradual improvement on this. It's not something that we're going to fix tomorrow. So we're looking at, you know, short-range goals and long-range goals on what we can do. And one of the things that, as Pete was talking about, is, you know, we've had a partnership with the Education Foundation here, and of course we work with Michael and the CTE staff here locally as well. But how do we do a better job of figuring out who those students are that want to go in different career paths and help them get to that point? You know, I just had a child graduate from college, and it's amazing how much they have no idea about how to actually find a job. And considering that's what I do for a living, and my son still doesn't listen to me, it's even more interesting. So clearly, if a kid who graduates from college doesn't know, then, you know, kids come out of high school probably even have a larger challenge on making that happen. So we're working to try to put things together to make that happen, and we've created a scholarship subcommittee, again, a private-public partnership of organizations that have an interest in helping that happen, Boys and Girls Clubs, so on and so forth, again, to try to figure out, especially those kids who are at risk maybe, who have never had, you know, family members that are in a professional setting or, you know, manufacturing, skills, trade. How do we get folks interested in that? So we did look at that. Last week, we made an announcement that we are looking to create scholarships, 36 fully funded scholarships, and raising $100,000 over the next 3 years to be able to work with the school district and figure out those kids who want to be interested in healthcare, more importantly in manufacturing and the trades, and get them interested into those components, working with IRSC, specifically right now in the Certified Production Technician program as well as the welding program, areas that we know from our study that have a significant need for workers not only today, but in the future. I think the average age for welders right now is about 52. So we know that is an area that we have a definite need moving in the forward. So again, we're looking at things that we can do directly now, some low-hanging fruit, but as well as what things we can put in place moving forward to help with the skills gap. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Pete.
Thank you, Rich. And we're really excited about this scholarship partnership. One person that has been instrumental in helping us do this within the school system is Mike Carbini. Mike has been very, very important in this process, linking potential students in the career and technical education system, and then with our local employers. So our approach is to kind of work our way down in that, we're concerned about making sure that recent high school graduates get these great jobs. And as Rich mentioned on the scholarship partnership, this is a way to fund either fully or partially certifications for those individuals to go initially in the manufacturing, but also healthcare and skilled trades. So our process is to work our way down, and the EDC and its partnership, working with CareerSource, eventually we want to start assimilating young people in middle school, so as they work their way up, they have an orientation and an acculturation for these great jobs that are going to be available. So there's, just to recap what some of the things that Rich mentioned, there's several recommendations that are instrumental. And what's important, at least in my opinion, is that these things aren't in the category of ending world hunger and securing international peace. They're realistic and they're achievable. So along with perhaps the legislature, in their wisdom, providing more funding for the Indian River State College Training Center, this could be a focal point for, and a facility for those efforts regarding these recommendations. So working together, having the partnerships, this is critical to making that happen. So specifically, there's several items that we don't really need to get into today from a industry-specific basis. Again, we're going to start with manufacturing. We've already created a healthcare subcommittee that is working on the issues that are relevant to the healthcare industry here, as well as skilled trades and manufacturing. So each industry sector will have a subcommittee either through the Treasure Coast Manufacturers Association or the Treasure Coast Builders Association. We will monitor and coordinate that. So where are we today? As we mentioned, we have just completed the talking phase, and now we're going into the action phase. We talked about the Indian River State College Training Center. Part of this is an enhanced workforce readiness task force. What can we do to go forward? One of our concerns is that we've talked a lot, and now we're going into action, but do we have the leadership and the organization and structure to accommodate this? So at this time, I'd like to have Brian Bauer come up and talk about the agreement that we have forged between the EDC and CareerSource about providing that organizational structure to make all the things happen that we talked about. Brian?
Good morning, and thank you for having us. As Pete mentioned, we see this as a critical juncture and the perfect timing to marry economic development and workforce. For many years, it was siloed. You had economic development working on bringing business, and then you had workforce development with the talent. Well, CareerSource Florida, our state board, their mission is to be the global leader in talent. So how do we do that? How do we become the global leader in talent when we know that unemployment is below 5%? Those individuals that are unemployed pretty much are those that have the most or most significant barriers to employment, or let's face it, don't want to go back to work. So where do we find that talent, and how do we develop that talent for our employers that we are bringing to our communities? And this Workforce Readiness Task Force was what we thought, Pete and myself, thought was the perfect opportunity to do so. And we've gone ahead and we have an agreement that we're getting ready to finalize that will allow us to take the steps and the goals that were set forth in the skills gap analysis and put them to paper and actually put them in the works. So I have reassigned Marcelo DeSantos, who's now our Vice President of Strategic Development, to be the key or the lead for this group, for this task force. And by doing so, it does two things. It aligns local CareerSource Research Coast with CareerSource Florida's task of sector strategies. There'll be more to come with that. As you've already seen, our three sectors that we've identified, healthcare, manufacturing, skilled trades, are three focuses of the state as well. So by doing so, we are putting forth our sector strategy for the state, as well as locally, we are addressing those needs of the employers that we're hearing from. Some of the things that we look to accomplish with this partnership is to enhance the existing networks between education, business, and industry representatives, labor, and other economic development partners to develop new and align existing programs and services within the industry needs. So we have to look at our K through 12s to say, where are we going to build that talent? How are we going to get that talent? How are we going to make manufacturing and trades sexy again? Because right now, we've told our children, we've said, college is the way to go. College is the way to go. Well, for some, yes, for some, not. And you can earn a decent living and have a great career in vocational trades and in other areas as well. So our hope is that we strengthen communication, coordination, and decision-making between our area partners to meet our market needs. We have tried to do what I have asked to do now is I've submitted a couple grants through CareerSource Florida that will help us with some funding assistance for manufacturing. It's a community sector-based grant. We've submitted 2 grants. Our focus is apprenticeship. Our focus is pre-apprenticeship. We're hoping that we have the support of the school district with regards to those programs that we want to institute. They are at the table in our Workforce Readiness Task Force. So our goal is to use those dollars to put programs or build programs that can become self-sufficient, that we can now have a registered apprenticeship program in the manufacturing, advanced manufacturing. Our focus is marine, avionics, as well as the others that Pete mentioned earlier. We also piloted a pre-apprenticeship program last year through the Florida Training Services, and that was using our hard-to-serve populations, using the gang initiative from the executive or the Roundtable of St. Lucie County. We had 17 individuals go through that program, of which 12 graduated. Part of our charge at CareerSource is to serve those with the most barriers to employment. Unfortunately, our funding sometimes only allows us to do just a little bit and touch those that are not in school. So how do we get to those that are in school? And that's why we're here today. I am 100% behind what Pete and what everybody's trying to do here. CareerSource Research Coast, my board of directors, understands the need for building the talent that we need so that we can have that talent pipeline for our employers. So thank you.
Thanks, Brian. We appreciate the commentary there. And just to wrap this up, We just heard about aligning on the state level the sector strategy initiatives with what is happening here locally. Again, just to put it in a more organic position, we're going to start with the 12 individuals for the manufacturing scholarship. So, I mean, okay, 12 people out of thousands, but we have to be successful in working together with our respective organizations and agencies to get these individuals, if they're recent recent high school graduates, making sure that we line them up, get their training, get their certification, and then find an employer to get them with. So 12, 24, 36, getting them, that would be tremendous success, and then the platform for even a more improved delivery system. We kind of went through what everybody's role is in terms of education, the employers, and Business and Trades Association. Again, it's coordination and organization and working on a common goal. One thing that it's really important for us to reinforce is the fact that we have a lot of great companies, organizations, including the school board that's very much involved in this. So you have buy-in, you have skin in the game. This is critical. This is not going away. And it's going to be part of the fabric, if you will, for future economic development in our community. You've been so kind to listen to us. Again, we appreciate your involvement, your investment. Having Superintendent Gent, Mr. Carbini involved with us in this process has made tremendous strides in just a short period of time. Mr. Chairman, we went over our allotted time. I'll stop right there.
You're fine. Thank you so much. But before you go, do we have any questions or comments, board members?
Yes, Chairman.
Ms. Mills?
First of all, I want to thank you for your work and your diligence in doing the job that you're doing to help the community and the school district and our children. I really was very pleased to hear that those 12 graduates, you're going to continue to make sure that they go into the work field, because without a job, they're in the street and they're trouble. With a job, they're busy and they're, achieving and feeling good about themselves. So that was a real plus for me to hear. And I do agree with the group that it's so important to have those trades in our community. I just had personally a plumbing leak that was under the ground that we had to find, and the immigration, I think they call that group, and the plumbers, and especially the painters, made a fortune. And we have insurance companies that pay them that money when those things happen. So we do need what you are doing tremendously, and I appreciate our superintendent. I don't see where he's at, but
It's behind you there.
appreciate your somebody's calling me, excuse me. I appreciate what you're doing to work with our community. You've been very instrumental in closing that gap even more so, and we appreciate that. And also Mike for your work as well. Thank you.
If I may comment, Dr. Mills, appreciate the shout out there. Obviously, with your plumbing experience, that individual had critical thinking skills that allowed that person to do the job,
That's
to
right.
take care of your situation. One thing I wanted to mention along with the scholarship partnership, to your point, is that the Boys and Girls Club is a significant player in this, and working with that organization, we have said, look, can you find us those young people that are either juniors or seniors or going to graduate that would like to go through this training. So, we think the Boys and Girls Club is going to be a great source of those individuals, and we can put them right into the training programs as a result of that.
And if we do know individuals that could benefit from this, who do we send them? How does that work?
You can send them to us. Part of our next step For example, Brian is taking the memorandum of understanding to his respective board. We're processing it through the EDC board. I'm sure the Education Foundation has to do the same thing, but we do have a letter of agreement with them. So part of that is who's the single point of contact. Probably the easiest thing is just to let Mike know, and then we'll take care of it. Thank you. Any other questions?
Ms. Hensley?
Not so much a question, but the school district has had the ability to be reactive to the needs of the community for quite some time. When, it goes back a long time when Don Root was at EDC, so that's a long time ago.
It is.
Yes. We put together, we were the only education entity at the table at that time, but we put together the Research Coast document. As you know, we met every 2 weeks for 16 months. And we did it regionally. It was 4 counties in tension. And we retooled our high schools at that time using that document about what was coming, so our kids were ready. In some cases, we missed the mark because what we had anticipated coming is yet to come. It still is going to come, but it's not here yet. So we had, last several years, done white papers, done kind of informal studies and different things like that to put together what we knew we needed. This is that next step. This is the formalization of that desire, because now everybody's in their seat. We had a lot of changes of people in positions, shall we say, and a lot of movement in and out that kept some things from going forward. But I think the timing is perfect right now because of the people we have in the right seats to make things go to completion of a vision for the community, where we had the vision, but we had too much movement. So I'm very pleased to see the next step, and I know that this school district is heavily committed because we, as a district, are committed to the future of our community, and so we have done things that were unique to make things happen. And I'm very, very pleased that we have a formalized process, we have a plan, we have significant partners to make sure that the needs of our community are addressed and a good future for our kids is being presented.
Thank you, Mrs. Hensley.
Mr. Chairman.
Wilson.
Thank you so much. This is so near and dear to my heart, and the pre-apprenticeship especially. I am just so interested in following this because it's deeper than even what we see. It's actually humanitarian when you take a child's life and change it forever. And we have that opportunity to be change makers in our community. I've heard, gosh, several stories over the years of young men who were lost and really had no direction, and they became involved in an apprenticeship, and it literally not only saved their lives, it saved their families' lives. And it's almost bigger than what we even see because it's going to expand and grow and really help to shape our community. And what a great opportunity. And I know Mr. Carbini has been very involved. I'm just so appreciative to so many of you. And pulling this together is a great opportunity for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, this is an immediate and long-term need. If you think about it, look at the robust expansion of the construction industry. I mean, 20 to 31,000 home sites are going to be built in St. Lucie County in the next 5 to 10 years. Think about the person power, if you will, to design, engineer, construct that. Thousands of well-paying jobs. Look at the healthcare industry. I'm a baby boomer. I'm chronologically gifted. I want to make sure that I get the best health care possible and that my nursing home is well-staffed. For example, we know that with Tradition Medical Center and surrounding both medical and healthcare specialty offices that we've identified over 1,000 healthcare practitioners that are needed in the next 3 years, 1,000. And these are at salary and wage levels that are high above the average earnings per worker in St. Lucie County. So we need these people. And Ms. Hilson, your comment about taking individuals and putting them in a productive use and efficient use and changing their lives is going to help their lives and ours too.
Mr. Tess, thank you guys so much. Rich and Brian, thank you. And Mike, thank you for your guys' work and really appreciate it. And as a school board, I speak on behalf of all of us, whatever we can do to help you Our doors are always available.
We have some ideas, and thank you very much for having us.
Thank you.
I would like to say thank you for the Summer of Success program in the partnership with the school district. If you aren't aware, we just completed that, and that was a very successful year 2 project. So let's keep our fingers crossed that the county allows us to do it again 3rd year with some funding. But that was 125 kids we put through 6 weeks of work experience, paid money in their pocket so that they could do things. So again, thank you for that partnership. It was a very successful event. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, well, I know they're going to probably take off, but I just want to extend my thanks to them as well, and to our staff. And Michael, we mentioned Michael, your name's come up more and more, but he has done a tremendous job in the short time that he's been here, and hit the ground running. And just appreciate his efforts out there and what he does, working with our schools and working with the community. And when he's out there representing us, we can just have all the confidence in the world that he's saying the right thing, doing the right thing. Up to this point, and but he's done a fantastic job for us. So, but a good job, Michael, and his team as well. So thank you. See you guys. We're going to transition over, and Dr. Prince is going to come up. I'm going to start sitting over here, because I can actually see the presentation, and I can see the team is staying awake over there as well. So,
Isn't he the boss of where he sits anyway?
can I sit here? Are you guys all right?
You can sit there.
Yeah, so I'm right here.
And paper airplane notes flying across.
That'll be good. So Dr. Prince is passing some things out. Terrence is going to be here as well. And this is some exciting things. And this is cutting edge, really. When we talk about we're going to have a leadership dashboard, and it's really to promote student achievement, but it does more than that. And this is something where our district is really, when I say cutting edge, is really on the cutting edge of this. We're not aware of this in any other place. You hear about it. You have different dashboards that are out there. So this is a fluid work in progress. And so we've done some things that we've added onto it. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Prince, and then Terrence, and then we're going to recognize some of Terrence's team as well, because they are the main folks that we've come up with a vision and an idea, and they've made it concrete and made it come to life.
Okay, good morning.
Morning.
I literally walked into Mr. Gent's office today and thanked him for hiring me in this district.
Really?
Yes, I
Because
did.
you're on TV.
We
I
do
did.
that.
No, it's
We
true
do that
story.
too, John. We thank
True
him for
story.
hiring.
I almost knocked Miss Hensley over on the way in. I could end everything. So I'm glad I didn't. But no, and the reason I say that is because we just have great people, and Mr. Gent, always says, you don't win with people, you win with the right people. And a couple of times some folks have been acknowledged, Mr. Carbini and Dr. Sanchez, and I'm going to acknowledge a couple of folks here today after I'm done with our presentation. But we have a great culture. That starts with the boss, Mr. Gent, what he established, and he's constantly pushing, and he doesn't push with fear. It's always with a sense of humor and to get better, and I always kid around, Mr. Gent, we had a record year, 36 out of 37 of our schools are A's with 1 B, and he'd say, who got the B? But it's always done in a positive way, and let's try to get better. So what I'm going to show you today really started with a spreadsheet. And, the vision was, when I arrived in the district, one of my main missions was to improve our graduation rate. And I had a way of doing things that I was very successful at, and it really started with a spreadsheet that took a whole lot of time to put together. But it was a way for me to get student by student and monitor individual students and how they were performing, and also working with my staff to make sure that kids were getting the supports that they needed. So I went to our IT chief, Mr. O'Leary, and said, we have all this data and all this information. Here's my spreadsheet. Can you guys do this? And a week later he came back and he's like, here it is. What do you think? Wow. And he did it for all the schools, and he did it a whole lot better than I did. And that turned into our graduation dashboard, or graduation, the visualization that I saw you that principals have been using for the last year. So we've taken that a step further, and I'm going to share with you today. This is transformational. We're using a platform that we have, but this is our intellectual property. And I want you to notice that as I go through this, how often you're going to see our backsplash. So today we're rolling out with principals next month what we're calling our leadership dashboard. And this monitors not just our graduation tracking, but it's student performance, our attendance, and also student safety. Now, this is going to, when I say this is transformational, when we have our monthly principal meetings, principals get like 15 different reports that are on paper, that's part of their progress monitoring. It's very cumbersome. It takes time to run these reports. So what my partner here has done with his team is he's put all of this in one platform. It's right at your fingertips as a principal, okay? So this is what it looks like. Whenever I pull up my email, this is familiar to you. As you can see, Mr. Gent emailed me. But I can pull up my waffle, and on my waffle, I'm going to go to what we call Power BI. It's right on my waffle. So when I click on that, this is the dashboard that I see. And I've got my leadership dashboard, I've got student safety here, I've got my attendance numbers here, and I've got student grades here. And this is district-wide, okay? So with our leadership team, we can take a look and see how we're trending as a district. And I'm going to dig in deeper because what you're going to have or what we have at our fingertips is amazing, and what we're putting in the hands of our principals and assistant principals and deans and our school leaders is going to be very, very powerful. So the first thing I want to talk about is student grades and really student performance, and this is something we're taking a really close look at. So when I click onto that particular dashboard, I can take a look at quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, or quarter 4. I have my tabs there. I can select the specific schools. In this particular case, I selected all schools in our district, and I can go even back 5 years if I want. But I'm going to take a look at 2017, and this is our grade distribution for last year for all of our schools. And I've got active and inactive students, and this is the number of A's, B's, C's, D's, and F's that our district gave last year for quarter 1, okay? So as a principal, let's say I want to take a look at how I'm doing compared to other middle schools. So I select all my middle schools here. And once again, I'm 2017, and I've got Dan McCarty, Forest Grove, Southern Oaks, and Southport. Now, the beauty about this, what I'm about to demonstrate, is all the information I'm showing you, I could go over in any one of those bars, hover over it, click it, and it's going to show me the students that received those grades and the teachers and the courses that they were in. Now, in this particular case, this is St. Lucie West Centennial. The St. Lucie West Centennial, the reason I'm showing you this is they've done a lot of work with supporting especially their freshmen. And over the last 2 years, they've done a tremendous amount of work and interventions with their students that were failing. And you can actually see it. As you see, I've selected St. Lucie West Centennial, and I've looked back for the last 3 years. And this is 2015, 2016, and 2017. And that's the grade distribution. But most importantly, if you look at the yellow, which is the students that received an F, that number has been cut in half. And that's by the positive supports that the school has implemented at that school. They've also made a big improvement in their Ds as well. And this just allows that school to be able to look at that evidence in real time and also take a look at those students that are still not being successful. Now, as you can see, I get so excited about this stuff, I'm sorry. But if I wanted to take a look, this is the district grade by quarter, and this is still Centennial. Now, this is really powerful because what I did is I clicked only on the A's. I just hovered and clicked on the A's. So what this shows me by quarter is the students in 2017 that got A's in these courses, but then the second 9 weeks, the third 9 weeks, the fourth 9 weeks, the students that got those A's, second 9 weeks earned B's, C's, D's, and F's. Third 9 weeks did the same. But if I'm a principal, what I'd look at, the second 9 weeks, I want to see the students that earn A's in those very same courses the first 9 weeks, but all of a sudden the second 9 weeks got D's and F's. You follow me? And then you can literally hover over that. I have 53 students that made an A the first 9 weeks in these same courses, but earned an F in the second 9 weeks. I can hover over that, drill down, and I can see the list of students the second 9 weeks that earned those Fs, and also the courses that they earned them in. And these are the same students that got A's the first 9 weeks. So clearly something has happened with these students, and it provides us a real-time intervention where we can tackle these issues second semester. This is really powerful as an administrator and as a principal. What I can also do is take a look at the grade distribution, because we like to disaggregate our data and see how our races are doing and also our ESE students. We can take a look and disaggregate it. And once again, I'm looking at Centennial. I'm staying at this school. I'm looking now at 9th grade, and I'm seeing how my grade distribution reflects by race of the student. And you can see I've got Asian, Black, Hispanic, Indian, multiracial, and white students. And take a look to see if my grade distribution is consistent with what I see in my overall grade distribution, which at Centennial it pretty much matches. And this is even cooler because I just can keep going further and further. Let's take a look at Bayshore, and this is 2017, and this is 5th grade. And I can take a look at my individual teachers. And this is my grade distribution of my individual teachers. And I have 8 teachers that have given grades at Bayshore, and I can take a look at their grade distributions. And also see, is there a particular teacher I need to support additionally, okay? And also, if I've got students failing one particular individual, you know, what supports can I provide to the students and also to the teacher to intervene in real time? So now I'm going to transition to student safety. I'm really excited. I'm sorry. This gets me fired up. Where were you, Terrence? My whole life. I could have done so much as a principal. So whenever I go back to my dashboard, this is just our overall dashboard, and I'm going to drill into this. And so this particular school, this is our discipline overview, and I just went into Weatherby for 2017, and this shows me how many level 1 students, how many infractions for level 1, level 2, and level 3. They didn't have a single level 4 last year, okay? But also as a principal, this is critically important because it shows me at the very top of the screen, I have 14 open referrals where teachers have written a referral and no action has been taken place by a discipline officer, okay? So the question is, why is that? You know, did the student withdraw? I mean, there's a number of reasons, but also it could have been a situation where somebody didn't pick it up and run with it. They didn't take care of it. But as a principal, that lets me in real time know exactly how many open referrals I have on my campus. Now for this particular screen, I'm looking at the level breakdown. This is powerful as a principal because I'm staying at Weatherby. What I did is I'm taking a look at all the levels, and I can look at that pie chart and see what are kids getting in trouble for? You know, what are the problems that I'm having on my campus? Because if I see patterns, then through teacher training and positive behavioral support, I can make interventions and make a difference. Well, I can tell you the number 1 is disruptive conduct. That's always at any school. That's just going to be number 1, and you can see that in red, kind of yellowish. But I looked at actually what drew my eyes was what's the gray? Okay, so that's where I was drawn to. And what is that? Well, I can hover over it. That's misconduct on the school bus. So most of the infractions that occur at Weatherby are not even on the campus, okay? As a result of this data, we're now implementing training for our bus drivers, okay? And we've also even adjusted routes to lower our bus misconduct and also help support our bus drivers because this isn't the only school that we've had this issue at. But what's occurring on the buses tend to filter over into the schools as well. And once again, I can take a look and see what 37 students had bus infractions, and also what supports can I provide those students and get those parents involved. And once again, everything I show you, I can drill into those individual student records. So on this particular one, I'm looking at the level breakdown offense by schools, and I've selected all the middle schools once again, and I'm only looking at level 1 offenses. These are just the lowest level offenses. And I've got Dan McCarty, Southport, Forest Grove, and Southern Oaks. And it looks like, wow, Southern Oaks has a lot of level 1 offenses, but we also have to remember the enrollments of the school. And Southern Oaks is by far the largest of our middle schools. But I can also take a look, if I'm a principal, and I know schools, especially the elementary schools that are very similar to mine, similar sizes, I can take a look and see if we're kind of having about the same numbers. And if I'm not, maybe I'm doing something a little better, maybe I have some challenges ahead, and I can also reach out to those other schools and contact them and say, what are you doing with positive behavioral support? What are you doing with teacher training that could help me? Now lastly, this is something I look at as a global view, and this is all of our schools, and this I'm just taking a look over the last 3 years, and this is the number of students that have earned a level 1, 2, 3, or 4 infraction. And then I'm taking a look at the incidents and the offenses. And actually, we've made some positive gains with the number of students that have gotten referrals over the last few years. I also want to mark on the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see it says last updated August 19th. Now you know kind of when I worked on this PowerPoint. I always wait to the last minute. No time like the present. But it also shows you how quickly this is updated all the time, and principals on every screen they see, there's a date stamp so they know when the last time the data was updated, and we anticipate updating it 2 to 3 times weekly for our principals. Now this is also important because I like to take a look at discipline counts by race. So I just pulled up a random elementary school. I looked at Floresta in 2017. And you can see once again that the number of students that have had infractions kind of represents the population at that school, which is important to look at. I also want to look at out-of-school suspensions. So I took a look at Port St. Lucie High School, and as you can see, I had 1,765 regular absences at that school. I'm sorry, 1,765 students that had an absence, okay? And then I had 99 that were in-school suspension, and then 84 that had an out-of-school suspension. And once again, if I wanted to take a look and see those student records, I could see which students had been suspended out of school or in school. So we have a big initiative this year with student attendance. I know Ms. Padrick is working with our municipalities to really promote that. We're going to come up with some catchy slogan. Don't know what it is yet, but we're working on it. But student attendance is critical. There's 2 things that most positively impact student achievement. Number 1 is the quality of the teacher. And number 2 is instructional time. Okay, so all of these things that I'm talking about affect the quality of the teacher because we're really talking about providing teacher supports in real time. And the other thing is instructional time, is having kids in class. Okay? And once again, when kids are out of class, whether they're in trouble or they just miss school, we have to get them in the classroom. So this is an incredibly powerful tool. This is Fort Pierce Central. This is only 9th grade, and you can see the matrix of why kids are missing school. And that's listed right there. And it's kind of small, so you got to look at it. I even have to put my glasses on, but if it's on your computer screen, you can see it really clearly. So you can see excused absences, clinic, OSS, ISS, school activity, unexcused absences. And if I wanted to take a look specifically at the out-of-school suspensions, at Fort Pierce Central, we had 138 students that were suspended out of school that particular year. And then I could drill in to see who those students were. Now, you have to remember, we're looking at the end of the year. Why this is powerful is if I'm a principal, I want to know when it happens the 4th week of school, the 5th week of school, the 6th week of school. This is when you intervene. It's too late once the year is over. But this platform allows us to do it right now in real time, which is incredible. I can't tell you how powerful that is. Also, at this particular school, and I pulled up Savannah Ridge, I'm taking a look at student attendance ranges. This is at Savannah Ridge for last year. We had 31 students that missed more than 25 days of school. Okay? Now, I hope to share with you at Savannah Ridge next year at the end of the year where we don't have any kids that miss 25 days of school, or we're intervening. And because I can tell you right now, as a principal, I'd want to know, I'd pull this up every day, who's missed more than 5 days of school? What do we have to intervene with these kids right now? Who's making contact with that parent? Who's meeting with this student? What kind of social services are we providing to these students or kids that for maybe reasons that they can't control, they're missing school? I can also take a look at our absences by race, and this is Fort Pierce Central High, and this shows me that the majority of the students that missed more than 25 days at Central, they're Hispanic kids. I have 52 Hispanic students that missed more than 25 days. And that's 9th grade only. Now, as a principal, this is always a nightmare because your records clerk or records specialist has to pull the perfect attendance. You ever see the perfect attendance awards? Well, guess what? I can pull this up, and I just pulled up Fairlawn. I've got 19 kids that were there all year long. Oh my gosh, I've got 19, and it's a click of a button. Well, I can right-click on that, and there are my 19 kids. Let's get those awards ready. It's instantaneous. It's awesome. Now, our success depends on actionable data, and I'm talking data that's up to the minute. I wanted you to notice, and I keep going back to some of these screens. Where is it? I'm sorry. I don't think you can even see it. But actionable data is critically important for a principal, and in order to take action, it has to be at your fingertips. And it provides our leaders with updated actionable information, and it provides a platform that allows our schools to identify at-risk students immediately and initiate those support for the kids. It assists our school personnel, and not just our principals, but our school personnel in progress monitoring our critical data points that can provide supports for those kids that need it. And also, it's a one-stop shop. It's just one stop. As a principal, I go to my waffle. That's the first thing I pull up every day. Okay? It also provides our executive directors, when they have those bi-monthly meetings with those principals, this is where they're going to spend their time and ask the questions about what supports are we providing to these kids. And when I say trailblazers, I've been in 2 of the largest districts in the nation, okay? And I've never met better people. I mean, I've never met more skilled and talented people that are in St. Lucie Public Schools, and I'm just so blessed to be here because this is really cutting-edge stuff. And what's great is I talk to Terrence about it all the time. This is our intellectual property. I mean, this isn't a vendor. This is something that they have created, and we have principals that are coming in tomorrow. I've got 6 of them that are just going to come and play with it like a new toy. And it's also like this. I do this to him all the time. What can we add to it, or what's coming is actually our unit assessment data. I mean, we have so many possibilities with this, but this is what our priority was initially that we were going to get started with. And I just wanted to acknowledge, Terrence has done an amazing job. Terrence is Butch to my Sundance.
Yes. So who's Etta?
He's awesome. I love this guy. He just does a wonderful job, and it's always great because I just go and I've spent a lot of time with our IT folks and Jim, our application development manager, and I want to acknowledge them because they're here. Guys, when I call your name, can you just stand up and wave crazily? Jim? All right. And Pedro, he's our data administrator and our project lead. Carmen, she's worked on the student performance dashboard with the grades. Susan Smith, she's worked on our attendance dashboard. And then Jordan Vandenflyer has been the student safety dashboard. And I've spent a lot of time with these folks. And it's been great to get to know them a little bit better, but also to really challenge and push. I'm very lucky to be here because also, and I make, all kidding aside, we've got a great culture where we push, but it's positive. It's a positive push. And when Mr. Jen always acknowledges, you know, about how important our staff is, these folks here have no idea how they're going to transform our district. I mean, we're already a snowball moving in the right direction, but this is truly transformative, and they are going to absolutely transform how business is done in our schools in a positive way, so I wanted to thank them for that. Any questions?
Board members?
Who's first?
Just wow.
I'll be the first one, since I wanted to hesitate a little bit and give someone else a chance, but, Mr. Gent, you certainly have surrounded yourself with geniuses here. And then we look at the different departments, and we say to all of our directors of those departments, you have surrounded yourself with geniuses. And that is what's moving us forward. And so, you know, I read a lot of motivational books, and one of the things that I just recently read was how important it is to surround yourself with very highly skilled people and then get out the way and let them do their job. And so I appreciate the board because we do get out the way and let everyone do their job. And so with all of us being in the proper places that we're in, we are making a difference. And I just want to compliment everyone for your work and what you are doing in your different departments. Thank you, IT. We appreciate you very much. Also, I have a question. Well, not so much a question. It's kind of like a command.
Ready.
Oh, look at that.
He's going to write it down.
We want to make sure that as a board, we have that access as well to the leadership dashboard. That's going to be just, even if we never look at it, right? It's going to be very helpful to look at and to be able to even guide what we might be doing within the district. So I appreciate it. It's great work. It's genius work.
Well, there's nothing that I enjoy more than being part of a team. And we have a great, great team of folks, and I'm very, very fortunate. And we all genuinely like each other, which is always helpful. But thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
one piece of this that's critical to me is the discipline. We can't fix it if we don't know what's broken, and the support for the classroom teachers. This is a huge support. I think nothing is more aggravating to a teacher who comes to work to do their job, and there's a constant problem with a particular student. And if we don't drill down and know what that problem is, we can't constantly just keep sending kids out of class. I understand that. But this will help us dig deeper and find out why we have this continuous problem, because I believe everybody comes to work to do a good job. And if we're not supporting that, then we're not doing what we should do. And so as part of that package, this is really important, and thank you. Lots of hard work, thank you all. These things do not happen in a vacuum, so we appreciate everybody that was part of this. Thank you.
And I wanted to further comment on the bus drivers. I used to be a bus driver. I don't know how many people know that up in here. Many
Mr.
years
Gent has
ago.
driven a bus. I watched
Many
it.
years ago.
He did a good
and
job.
I mean, the conduct many years ago for substitute bus drivers were outrageous on the buses. You know, I never made it to a permanent bus driver. I was like, can't do this no more. But as a substitute bus driver, the conduct was out of control at times. And it would take, once I parked the bus, I would start writing my referrals.
Right.
Because I did not want another, even if I never got back on that particular bus, I did not want it to go unnoticed.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to make sure that the next bus driver possibly had a more better time, because that particular child did get that referral, and they know that they have to be careful on how they
Right.
behave. So it's to have this in our hands now, and for the principals and everyone, you know, in leadership to have this in our hands, provide a lot of information to everyone, as Ms. Carroll was saying, the the classroom teachers, you know, where we could see.
Well, it's not just to see, but it's see where we need to support. And I think it gives us an instantaneous way in real time to see, Mr. Gent likes us to be fluid and mobilize very quickly when we see an issue. And that's the beauty of the district. There's just not a lot of bureaucracy. I mean, we jump right in. So this really enhances that intervention tool. I'm very excited about it.
And Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
This will give some input too for Ms. Holly's student success team that she has with Roundtable, as well as making sure that we target Children's Services Council for those agencies that can provide services to fill the gap. So when we find out if there's a continuing issue, that we have a community that will be willing to fill that gap to make sure that the services are needed, whether it be before school, after school, or in the community as a whole. But I think that's going to give not just us an opportunity, but this is going to give a lot of people an opportunity as a community to make sure our kids have every chance to be successful.
Gentlemen, thank you so much. IT department, thank you again. We really appreciate it. And this is some powerful information and powerful data that can change lives.
Does the, Terrence, does the IT team can they go home today, or they still have to go till 4 o'clock? No, we want to thank them for what they've done, and Dr. Prince and Terrence, a great presentation, and you can see it's really, there's a lot of information there, and there's a lot of data there, and I really, really want to stress that this is about support and help. This is not get you stuff. I'm not a get you guy. You guys have been around me for a couple of years now. It's really about we have to confront brutal facts, and then how do we offer the support in there to fix this. We were talking about the bus drivers, and talking to some teachers last year and talking to the principals, and the amount of time that's spent on referrals just for buses. We worked with Bill, and this summer we began the training of CHAMPS training for drivers and positive behavior support, and some incentives and dollars and little things that they can work in the schools. It's a start. You know, we'll still have our challenges there. The drivers, you know, are like the music conductors; their backs to the crowd, and so we're working with that, and this information, and it's just going to be good. And they're going to be presenting, I think, at a conference in Orlando in a couple of weeks as well. I'm on this, but I'm very, very pleased with that. Got Jonathan here, and Jonathan was just going to give us a brief update on where we are with our charter schools and our potential challenge.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's tough to follow those last two acts. Just very quickly, the board was proactive in voting to go forward with challenging House Bill 7069. You were the second school district to formally commit after Broward County. As of today, there are 8 school districts that have formally committed to the litigation. They are Bay, Broward, Hamilton, Lee, Miami-Dade, Palm Beach, St. Lucie, and Volusia. Last week, Orange County had a workshop where they reached a consensus. They are taking a formal vote today to join. There is a discussion today in Polk County about whether to pursue it. Pinellas has voted to not formally join, but they are under pressure to reconsider that. There was a very strong editorial in the Tampa Tribune that really questioned why they weren't joining. Alachua is considering it later in the month. I expect by the time we get the formal complaint put together, given the board schedules over the next couple of weeks, that when all said and done, the school districts who will formally be part of the litigation will represent over 50% of the students in the state of Florida. So while the number may not be high compared to 67 school districts, a majority of the kids will be represented by school districts that are participating. The group that is in, and Dan and I have been actively participating in a weekly conference call for since the end of June with the school districts that are participating. We have chosen a law firm. It is a law firm of Hush Blackwell. They are a national law firm. They have a very active education practice. The senior partner who's going to be leading up the litigation, his name is John Borkowski. He actually did work with Marie Sneed on the St. Lucie County desegregation cases back in the 90s. He's very well respected. Dan has worked with him, becomes highly recommended, and we're very excited to have that firm that's going to be leading the litigation. We had one of our quarterly Florida School Board Attorney Association meetings this past weekend, and on Saturday, the group that's in the litigation met for about 3 hours with John and one of his senior associates who's going to be leading it up. We talked about logistics, we talked about strategy moving forward. We will be entering into engagement letters with the firm this week, as well as joint participation agreements with the other school districts. The way this is going to work is that you've committed dollars, all the school districts that are in have committed dollars. There's going to be an upfront flat fee that all the districts are going to pay. We're still working what that's going to be, but it's probably going to be in about the $2,500 range. And then all the districts are going to be billed on a pro rata basis based on their student population. So our share of the total bill will be roughly 3% of what the total cost will be. So it's going to be very cost effective for us smaller districts to be participating. That's basically where we are. We're moving forward. We're going to be getting detailed information from each of the districts. I'll be sharing with the cabinet, and we'll be divvying up who has the responsibility to gather that. We'll be then sharing it with the law firm. We'll be also having a sort of parallel effort, which is the public communication as to what this is all about. For example, there was another editorial by House Leader Corcoran in the Sun Sentinel this morning. So they are getting their message out. But we are going to be getting out a message, and I've been coordinating with Carrie and the other public communication departments of the districts that are in, that this is not about charter schools. We've made that clear to you already. But basically the message is about local control over locally elected school boards, which is what the citizens of Florida envisioned when they adopted the Florida Constitution. They said, we want local control by local elected officials that we choose to control and operate our public schools. And the Florida legislature is attacking that. And that's what we're pushing back on. So that's where we are. You know how to get in touch with me if you have any particular questions or need any more details, but we are moving forward as quickly as we can. This is, by all accounts, something that is being watched on a national level because Florida tends to be one of the leaders when it comes to school choice issues because of how we are structured and the size and the importance of our local school districts. So you're in good company. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes, ma'am.
We had a conference call with the State League of Women Voters Education Committee the other day. They are quite interested in any information they can get to share statewide. They would like to be involved with carrying the mantle of why school districts need to be involved and what the talking points actually are. They actually are trying to put together a speakers bureau to go to different entities around the state, school boards around the state, to speak from an entity that is not the elected school board about why this is important to the state of Florida. So whenever you could share that information, actually what I'll do is I'm going to send you her information, and then you can have contact with her because they are very agitated over this issue.
And on that point, while the named plaintiffs will be in all likelihood limited to school districts and will not include individuals or any organizations like some of the other lawsuits that have been out there, we are always interested in finding funding partners that would help share the expense. So we are using the resources available and through Mr. Borkowski's law firm to reach out. For example, at our meeting, not with the attorney, but at our school board attorney association meeting, we had a woman who works for the Council of Great City Schools. I think that's what it is. It's the large school districts in the country have a council, and I think there are 6 members in Florida of the Broward Miami-Dades. And they are interested in following up, and again, we're reaching out to anyone who may assist with funding the effort. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Ferguson.
I think it'll be important, too, that we have talking points for our board, for the board members as well, because House Bill 7069 is a very large bill, and this, Jonathan talked about the home rule. You'll hear that from our local government. We have issues with the constitutionality of certain portions of 7069, so it's not an anti-charter, it's not anti-choice. It's really about what are the roles of school boards and local school districts, and some constitutional issues that are there. Some will try to frame it a different way and try to pit factions against each other, and that's not the case at all. So I think it'll be helpful that we give you guys some of the talking points on that as well, because and everyone is, even how that bill came about, at the last minute, and everything being added on as a train, and then it was there, and you hadn't had a chance to do really significant debate for the public to actually weigh in on that. So it's something that's important, I know, to all the superintendents and the school boards in the state of Florida. So we'll keep everybody posted on that. As we close out, and before we go into our security, our closed door session, I just wanted to, we've had an excellent first week of school. We're in our second week of school. They don't teach you in teacher school or superintendent school how to deal with an eclipse. Mr. Ingersoll, you mentioned that. Our schools did an excellent job. We had a high absenteeism rate, and that's what we expected. And yet we had a lot of interesting activities that were on our campuses. I was reading a quote today, not from anybody in our county, about a teacher who was very upset about how things had happened and thought it was a wasted day. And I think we have to view things on the opportunities and what a cool day that was for kids. So for those that stayed home with their parents, that's great. Maybe they did some activities, but those that were in the school centers, how we were able to put things on TV and to share things, they probably learned more about astronomy and astrophysics than they may have ever learned in their entire lives. But the staffs, the principals, the teachers, everyone did a fantastic job to keep our children safe. First week of school, we had a call center, and I want to thank Tim's not here, but Bill is, and some of the other team members, where we staffed the call center mostly with our employees. We had retired teachers and educators. We did use Rich and Spherian and his corporation with some folks as well, and that seemed to have gone very, very well. I don't know if you received many complaints, but they were way, way down. We weren't perfect, but it was much better than the previous year where parents had access and could call in, and the wait time was very, I was randomly calling in and then hanging up. And they were, you didn't wait. It was really a wait time. I think it was 8 seconds, Terrence, on one day. It was nothing. So it was really, really well done. I want to thank Terrence and his team and Tim Bergeron in the transportation department. That went well. We also brought our ESE students in the past had suffered a little bit with transportation, and we were able to put a major, major dent in that. And as of really within the first week, all of our students had routes or in schools. If students are, we still have students that are enrolling, but that was a tremendous improvement from the previous year as well. And I saw Brian in the back. Brian, come on up for a second too. With security, Brian and them man the transportation offices at the end of the day, where students may get on the wrong bus or get dropped off at the wrong stop. We had a little bit of that. And so Brian and his team are out there till 6:30 at night giving us an update on what's going on, and they did a fantastic job as well. So I want to turn that mic off. No, looks like you wanted to talk. No, I'm just joking. But I do appreciate everything that they've done, and they were out there working with local law enforcement. I was able to see Sheriff Mascari yesterday at 2 of the events and thanked him. I was able to thank Fort Pierce folks and Port St. Lucie folks as well for just, and we have letters that are going to go out from the board and probably bring in for some recognition to thank them for the team effort and the support that we've received out there. And it's a day-to-day issue. But it was really a smooth, well-run machine, and that's the team and that's the staff that's behind all of that. So I just wanted to give you that update, and hopefully the phone won't ring today after I've said that. So,
Thank you, Brian.
an excellent good week.
Yeah.
So great job
I
by
did
the
listen
team.
to Mr. Gent. I did shave.
Oh, very good.
You didn't even notice.
Looks about 10 years younger. I wasn't sure that was you back there. I thought it was a new
I
employee.
heard 20 years younger, but
I thought it was Vicky's bodyguard. I didn't know what was going on.
I'd like to thank Transportation, too. They did a great job.
Yeah.
As far as the area managers and the people at the facilities working with us. We had several kids that got off the wrong buses or got on the right bus, but they got off the wrong stop, but we were able to get everybody home, so it worked out well.
Great job.
Good.
If there's no other questions, we're going to go over to the superintendent's conference room. It'll be very, very brief for an update.
Sure, this time we'll adjourn.